a lot of people are asking, like, who are these guys? Who are they? A lot of people want to know this. It's going to be very special. It's going to be a 13 by 7. It's going to be shipped to Germany. Southern Longleaf Pine. That's the name of it. And it's going to go to a very unique drummer. That's the only way you can get that yellow is from this type of wood. Not to mention some of the clear pine warm tones. What's up, everybody? You know, this is going to be such an amazing, cool drum building story here. And it's going to start off with just a piece of baseboard, a trimmed piece of baseboard. Man, so we've got some really cool things going on right now. Sometimes people have they got a song boiling in their soul. People always kind of asking, like, you know, who is this Sleep Token? Who are these guys? You know, I think Sleep Token is definitely a mix of different styles, like rock and metal. They have a heavy guitar riffs, catchy melodies. I think also the vocals are very powerful. Their drummer is very spectacular too. Basically, he does a lot of energy and intensity. He plays real big and heavy, and he dies out really quick. I guess I could say a lot of dynamics to his drumming playing. You know, everybody kind of has some sort of an influence from somewhere. And I think it's a very cool thing when you stamp your influence on something very meaningful to you, which is the centerpiece of your drum kit, the snare drum. Yeah, this is my good friend Kerry. He would come over and we would jam and have the best time, man. He'd be so mad if he knew I posted this. What's up, bro? Man, dude, this thing really turned out really good so far. Stephanie, my wife's cousin, contacted me and just told me, said, look, we've got all this wood in the back here, it's going to waste, and some of it is good, but a lot of it's too late, you know. So we stopped what we were doing, basically. Come from? Where's this house at?
It was in Poland, and I moved it here. My aunt always bought it for me when I was like 10.
So the house was moved here?
Yeah, the house was moved here from Poland.
Wow.
It was made in, I don't know, what are those, 1918, 1920 something.
Yeah.
That's when it was deeded. Now, how
Yeah, that's when it was
is
deeded.
I don't know, 'cause
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they didn't build this house.
I've got pictures. I can send you pictures of the house.
I would love to see
Took all the
pictures of
stuff
it.
off
I would love to
of
see
it.
pictures of it.
I can send you pictures of it. It was all different wood.
Yeah.
It was like it was pieced together.
All out of wood. There wasn't no plywood in that house, was there?
No.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes it's very difficult to be able to tell the difference between a piece of wood that's on its last leg, that's ready for the burn pile, or is it ready to be built into an amazing snare drum. Sometimes it's a hard line. So we go over there, and immediately I'm seeing stacks of wood. I'm talking about a lot of it is solid. And luckily, one thing that saved this wood is the nails hasn't been pulled out of it. Like if it's stacked real close on top of each other, real tight, and then that gets wet, there's a big chance that it's gonna grow mold, and you know, mushrooms are gonna start growing in it, and it's going to be not worth anything at all. So thankfully, the nails that was on the board kind of give it room to dry, like it kind of like naturally air dries. So a lot of it is very still preservable. How's that one look?
This one? Sturdy.
Now things have kind of calmed down a little bit, we can get back to work. I'm definitely going to try to get everything he wants on this drum, but I'm gonna go and tell you, it's definitely gonna be a challenge because we're dealing with, it's a small drum, it's a 13. 14 is gonna have more surface area, but we're trying to really squish everything. And the technique that we're gonna use is something very different. And it's basically a technique called mosh pod. It's been around for a while. Here we just applied the mosh pod, and there's a million different videos on this technique. One of the reasons why I chose to do this is because there's going to be a lot of detail on here, and if I'm very careful wiping this paper off of it with a wet, damp rag, I'll be able to kind of leave all the marks intact. This is the weathering technique here. A lot of this stuff here is done by hand because I don't want to risk hitting it. You got to be real careful here because if I bump the side of that ink right there, we're done and it's going to be removed. But I didn't want to do that until after. So that's why a lot of it has to be done by hand when it gets real close to it, because if you touch one of that thing, you're going to have to start over and the surface is not smooth no more. Now it's time to be super careful here. I don't want to torch my existing mosh pad, so I'm going to stay away from it a little bit, which what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to manually add some glazing compound around the lettering so it won't, so I don't have to worry about risk burning it too much and having it come up. So, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear coat this. Once I went all the way around this thing, I'm going to just kind of touch up some of the edges, kind of go over it one more time, kind of darken any dark spots, lighten up any spots that may darken up any spots that need to be kind of darkened up a little bit. And I'm really not liking the blend right here around the lettering right now yet, just because it's very difficult to get where I need to get without risk burning my ink. So what I plan to do here is manually do this. I decided to go over and darken some of the lighter spots kind of leading into it to kind of blend it some more. This is where I mess up at. Now, once it's dried here, this is one of the difficult things right here, because I don't want it to be too dark, because once I get lacquer on top of this, like once I spray this, it's going to be extremely difficult to remove this color off of this, because what the lacquer does is basically locks everything together. So I was going to use my glazing compound to just go around the edges and kind of make everything a little bit darker, just because of the fact it looks really light around the lettering, where I had to not get too close in with the torch, because we really kind of want to have a torch effect, but it's very easy to leave it too heavy too. So I want to be very careful right there, because what I don't want is to have to, once I put clear on, to have to try to lighten it back up. Like, it's always easier to darken it up more, not so much easier to lighten it up, because you have to sand through the finish and risk going through our ink. All right, this is what she looks like with one coat of lacquer on it. I'm liking it. Let me send it to the customer and see how he likes it. You know, there's a couple spots that are above where the drum head was going to cover, and I didn't worry about trying to get those completely lightened up, just because of the fact your drum head's going to be sitting on it, and I don't want to risk damaging the drum anymore.
So it's definitely a little nerve-wracking. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm a little bit relieved that everything went as planned. He's really wanting a little bit not to be so dark where the writing's at, which kind of sucks because it sucks big time because I already got glaze on it. I already got the clear coat on top of that. And it's very difficult. Like once you spray clear over top of something, it's very, very extremely difficult to lighten it up. Like it's always, you can go darker easier, but you just can't go lighter. So I'm stressing here. You know, also if you want to be a part of a drum building experience, we're doing a experimental trial version of how to build a drum from scratch.
Michael and his team has opened the doors like nothing we've ever seen before. A new experience that mixes music and the art of drum building like none other. Place where you can stay in our private cabin, tucked away from the side of the shop, and witness your drum being made by Michael and his team.
Sorry, had to throw that in there. Super excited about this build though. Yeah, so this drum right here, man, it really did turn out good. We had to go in sand down with some 220 grit sandpaper around the edges of it to kind of feather it in to make it not so dark around the edges. It still was a little bit dark, but it really wasn't bad. I sent a picture to my buddy and he liked it.
I was gonna go outside and take a picture of this drum here, but the time I opened the door and went outside, it just completely got like completely fogged up. The time I went outside, it is so humid here. Oh, it's humid. It's hot, humid right now in Georgia now. If there's anything I've ever learned about drum building, there's one thing you gotta do. You gotta use Loctite. You gotta use Loctite on those lock vents.
And there she is in all her beauty. Yeah, pine is definitely a softer wood, softer tones, definitely very warm sounding, kind of moves out of the way quickly. A lot of times harder woods sometimes will tend to want to kind of ring a little bit more, a little more brighter side, which is fine too. Softer woods just going to have a little bit more, they just kind of soak up. It's like putting carpet into a room that don't have it. It just kind of soaks up some of those extra tones that just kind of want to ring. Makes your snare notes really distinct. They don't kind of run together. That's kind of what I think. That's why I like pine. But yeah, thank you for watching this video so much, and thank you for all your support and my Patreons over there. I love you guys so much. Thank you. And don't forget about the drum building experience. Let somebody know about it. And holler at me, message me for more details. Peace.
And yeah, I hate it sometimes. I do hate it sometimes that I gotta cut up a shirt. I mean, sometimes I wear these shirts. I'm hard on these shirts. And a lot of times, you know, guys send me drum shirts to wear for their band, logos and stuff on it, and they gotta turn into work shirts sooner or later, and I'll wear them if I like them. And if I like the brand,